I hope you will not accuse me of inadequacy. I had the courage to tell it. It was the year 2018. Me and my girlfriend rented our first apartment after all. We had a good time and decided to live together. The apartment was small, modest, but we were satisfied. In general, everything is great. Life began to acquire new colors and opportunities. But my girlfriend began to find some needles poked under the wallpaper. Being very superstitious, she did not stop assuring me that it is a subplot and nothing good they do not promise. I only pretended that I was at least a little bit interested, although I did not go into this mysticism myself. But that's when it all started. It was early fall. It started to get dark around 8 or 9 p.m. I went to another part of town on business. I was going to be back by 10 p.m. And on my way home, I got a call from a worried May. She almost sobbed and assured me that there was someone in the apartment. She ran out into the street in home clothes, without closing the apartment and without turning off the lights at the stop to meet me, arguing that she clearly heard barefoot footsteps on the linoleum in the hallway. After gathering her thoughts a bit, she took the laptop and moved with it into the kitchen. But the damn thing started coming from the bathroom. As May described it, it sounded like someone was crumpling a heavy bag, and the sounds got closer and closer until they started coming from the refrigerator and the kitchen sink. Naturally fragile and superstitious girl closed the laptop. Even without changing her shoes and without closing the apartment, ran outside. Thankfully, at least machine turned off the stove on which cooked pasta for me for dinner. She met me at the bus stop. She tried to convey to me the essence of demoness. I nodded my head in agreement, saying I understood, and took her home. May calmed down a little. I ate some uncooked pasta and we went to bed. Everything seemed to have calmed down and forgotten, but after literally 3 days we went to the store for groceries. On the telephone nightstand near the door was a pile of spam from the mailbox, among which was a receipt for payment of utilities in the apartment. I went through a pile of these papers. Some of them even fell on the floor. I found the right one, put the rest in a neat stack and put it back. Then went to the store and came back. Walked into the apartment. May froze and became hysterical. It wasn't until later, when I found out the reason for the tantrum, that I sat up a bit myself. On the very same telephone cabinet, which I had thoroughly looked through on the way out, there was a neat pile of ashes, very similar to cigarette ashes. May starts swearing and crying, cursing this apartment. I try to calm her down and just make up a story that it was me smoking while on the phone and shaking the ashes just on the edge of the nightstand, was going to put it away and forgot. Forgot? Now I realize that's a stupid explanation. Because in 2018, I've had exactly 0 home phone calls. We haven't talked on the house phone in a long time. But then in my panic even may have missed that point. But it worked. May kind of believed it and calmed down. We went to bed. She fell asleep quickly. I watched the different videos some more and went to sleep too. Couldn't fall asleep. Suddenly I hear footsteps in the hallway. As if slightly wet feet. A little sticking, stomping. The hall already near the footsteps. The smartest thing I could think of was to cough loudly. There was silence. Suddenly there was a sharp sound from the kitchen, like 2 vases or pots hitting. May is asleep, and I listen and I start to shiver. I hit the spacebar on my laptop to light up at least part of the room. I lay down a bit, leaning on my elbow and, artificially brave, quickly went to the kitchen. I turned on the light and saw sliced bread scattered on the floor, which had been in a ceramic dish packed in a bag. This dish stood empty and closely pressed into a jam jar, and there was a whole table between them before. I surprisingly calmly collected everything, put it in its place and went to bed. Even though it did not really work, I didn't want to live under such strange conditions anymore. Not even me. We decided to move out. After about 2 days, I called the landlady and lied that we had to move out of the apartment because we found a better option. Thankfully, the woman is understanding and returned part of the money. My girlfriend, in turn, I also lied to her, say we are leaving for another better apartment. I didn't tell her about my nighttime adventures. I thought it was better that way. I mean, she's still a little freaked out from the whole thing. That's the story. Apartments have secrets.